Now let's take a look at this question. And by the look of it, you can say that this question contains the concepts of circle as well as parabola. And it requires the concepts of chords as well. And this was asked in JEE Mains 2024. So let's look at what the question is. Consider the circle C, x square plus y square equals to 4 and the parabola y square equals to 8x. If the set of all the values of alpha for which 3 chords of the circle C on 3 distinct lines passing through the point alpha comma 0 are bisected by the parabola in the interval p comma q, then we need to find out the value of p and q. So basically what the question is saying that there is a point alpha comma 0 through which the chords of circle pass through, and whatever chords are passing through that circle, the parabola is intersecting those chords at the middle point. Thus we need to find out the range of values of alpha for which this thing is possible. So whenever you see a question which is based on 3D geometry or coordinate geometry, the first and foremost thing that you must do is draw their diagrams. By drawing their diagrams, you will be able to solve half of the problem very easily. So let's look at the diagram here. This is our axis. Our circle is again a standard circle whose radius is 2. Center is at 0, 0. And our parabola is again also standard with vertex at 0, 0 and focus at 2, 0. From here we can see that this is 8, so 8 is equal to 4a. From here we get our value of a, which is 2. So now let us assume that alpha is inside for a moment. Now we do not know where alpha must be lying. The only thing that we can make out is alpha must be lying in the positive x-axis. That is all that we can make out. So let us draw a chord. This is a chord of the circle which passes through alpha comma 0 as well. Now we know that this point, the point at which the parabola intersects the chord, this is the middle point of this chord. So let us call this as x1 comma y1. And now I hope you all remember while we had studied the equation of chords in the chapter circles as well as in the chapter parabola, whenever the middle point of a chord is given, then how do we write the equation of the chord? The equation of chord based on middle point can be written as t is equal to s1. And since this is a circle, so we can say that t, first we write down our s, which is x square plus y square minus 4. So t can be written as x1 plus y1 minus 4. Similarly, s1 would be equal to x1 square plus y1 square minus 4, where x1 and y1 are the midpoint coordinates. Now, what else can we make out from this diagram? We can see that m, x1 comma y1, this point lies in the parabola as well. So one thing that we know, that instead of having two variables which are x1 and y1, we can have just a single variable by using the parametric coordinates of parabola. So this would be at square comma 2at. Now this would make our calculations much easier because now we just have one variable to solve. And we know the value of a is 2, so this would become 2at square comma 4t. This is our equation of m. So let us use this in our equation, which is t is equals to s1. So this would become 2at square x plus 4ty minus 4 is equals to x1 is 4a square. Sorry, a would not be here. This would become 2. So this would become, this would be 2t square, and this x1 square can be written as 4t to the power 4 plus y1 would become 16t square minus 4. And now from here we can see that minus 4 and minus 4 get cancelled. So the equation that we get is 2t square x plus 6t square. So this is our equation that we've gotten. This is the equation of our chord. Equation of chord, which has been bisected by the parabola at the midpoint. So now what are other things that we can see? That this line passes through the point alpha comma 0 as well. That means we can say that alpha comma 0 would be satisfying this equation. So let us put the values of alpha and 0 in place of x and y. Then we would get 2t square alpha. Y term would become 0 since the y coordinate is 0 in this point. And this would be equal to 4t to the power 4 plus 6t square. From here we can take I'm sorry, I made a mistake. This wouldn't be 6t square. This would be 16 plus 16t square. So from here we see we can take 2t square common and cancel them. So we would get alpha is equals to 2t square plus 8. Yes. And now we've gotten the value of alpha in terms of t. Now one thing that we know about t square is that t square will always be greater than 0. Since this is a square term, it can never be negative. So this is always greater than 0. Thus we can say that 2t square would also be greater than 0. And 2t square plus 8 greater than would be greater than 8. And this value is nothing but alpha. So we write it as alpha is greater than 8. So we've got one of the values, so either of p or q. So since alpha is always greater than 8, that means p would be 8. We've got one of the lower bound of alpha, which is 8. Now the one thing that we can make out about alpha, knowing that it is greater than 8, we know that this point alpha does not lie inside the circle. It is outside the circle, somewhere here. So let us make a new diagram to find out the value of alpha. This is our new diagram. Alpha would be lying somewhere here, and the rest of the things remain same. So the chord that would be passing would be in this format, and this is our middle point. So by looking at this diagram, one more thing, we need to find out one more equation, of course. So what is the thing that we can find out is that m is lying inside the circle. So if any point P, which is x1 comma y1, if it lies inside a circle, that means s1 would be less than 0. I hope you all remember we had studied this in circle as well as parabola. That means m, which is x1 comma y1, or can be written as 2t square comma 4t. For this s1 would be less than 0, and our s1 is equal to x1 square plus y1 square minus 4. This would be less than 0. So let us substitute the values. 4t to the power 4 plus y1 square, this makes it 16t square minus 4 less than 0. Let us take 4 common here, so this would become plus 4t square minus 1 is less than 0. Now in this equation, let us assume that t square is equal to a. Let us assume it is a, so that our calculations become easier. So this biquadratic can be transformed into a quadratic equation. This would become a square plus 4a minus 1 is less than 0. Now upon solving this equation, this inequality, we know that what would be the value of a. This would come out to be minus b, which is minus 4 plus minus root under b square minus 4ac minus 4ac into minus 1 would make it plus upon 2a. So here we know that a, which is t square will always be greater than 0. This means that a cannot be negative. So if a cannot be negative, that means the minus sign term we can eliminate. We cannot consider that. So from here, what do we get? A is equal to minus 2 plus root 5. That means t square is equal to minus 2 plus root 5. Now let us substitute this value of t square over here in this alpha. So we would get alpha to be equal to minus 4 plus 2 root 5 plus 8. So alpha would be equal to 2 root 5 plus 4. So that means we've got the upper bound as well. So this is our value of q and this is our value of p. That means alpha belongs to 8 to 4 plus 2 root 5. So we've found out the range of alpha and we know what p is. We now know what q is also. This is 4 plus 2 root 5. Now let us substitute in this equation. We would get 2q minus p square whole square. So 2q is 8 plus 4 root 5 minus 8 whole square. 8 and 8 gets cancelled, and 4 root 5 square would give us 16 5s are 80 is our answer. So a lengthy question, a formula based question. You must know how to draw the diagrams. Visualization was needed in this question. So overall this was a good question that was asked with a mix of concepts of circle, parabola and chords as well. Now let's look at another question. This was asked in JEE Mains 2022. Let P1 be a parabola with vertex 3, 2 and focus 4, 4 and P2 be its mirror image with respect to the line x plus 2y is equals to 6. Then the directrix of P2 is x plus 2y is equals to. So they are assuming that here there will be a constant, let's say c. So we need to find out the value of c. So let us draw the diagram again. Let us assume this is our axis. This is our parabola. The vertex is at 3, 2. Our focus is at 4, 4. There must be a directrix here. And there is a line. X plus 2y is equals to 6. Or in simple format, we can write this as y is equals to minus x minus 1 by 2x plus 3. So that it comes in the format of y is equals to mx plus c, and it becomes easier for us to solve. Let me write this down in a more better way. This would become y is equals to minus x by 2 plus 3. So we can see that the slope is minus 1 by 2. So what would be the mirror image of this parabola on this line? It would be somewhat like this. And this would be the mirror image of the directrix. And what has been asked to us? We have been asked the equation of the directrix. That means if we find out the equation of this directrix, we would be able to find out this one because the distance d would remain same since it is a mirror image. And now, so first let us find out the equation of this directrix. Now, of course, by looking at the diagram, you can make out that all three lines are parallel. So the slope is going to be same. So for this line as well, we can write, which is our directrix of P1 parabola, and this, let's say this is P2 parabola. For P1 parabola, the directrix equation can be written as y is equals to mx. The slope will remain same for both the parabolas, for both the lines. Slope will remain same since they are parallel. So y plus c, or let us take a different variable to represent this, plus k. So now we know that the distance of directrix from the vertex is a, and this distance is also a. That means we can find out this value k here. So let us first find out the distance between 4, 4 and 3, 2, so that we can get the value of a, which would be their distance, and that distance can be used to calculate the final equation of d. So the distance a would be equal to root under 4 minus 3, which makes it 1 square, plus 4 minus 2, which makes it 2 square. So this is equal to root under 5. A is root 5. That means here also the distance a would be equal to root 5. Now by using point line distance formula, we can find out. Let us write this equation as 2y plus x minus k is equals to 0. This is our line directrix. So the distance, which is root 5, can be written as modulus of 2 times of 2 plus 3 minus k upon root under 2 square plus 1 square. Now let us take this to the other page. So this is also root 5. So root 5 into root 5 would give us 5, and this is equal to modulus under 4 plus 3, which makes it 7 minus k. That means we can say that 7 minus k is either equal to plus 5 or 7 minus k is equal to minus 5. Since this is modulus, so we can take these two conditions into consideration. So k from here would be equal to 2, and k from here would be equal to 12. Now which one are we going to choose as the value of k? So let us assume that k is equal to 12. So if we were to write that in this equation, plus plus x minus 12 is equal to 0. Now let's look at this equation. If you are able to find out that the focus, which is f 4 comma 4, satisfies this equation, by the look of it you can make this out. That means this is not the directrix, because directrix never passes through the focus, so this gets rejected. So our k is equal to 2, and our equation of directrix is minus 2 is equal to 0. So here this is one line, which is y is equals to minus x by 2 plus 3. Here there is another line, which is y is equals to minus x by 2 plus 1, and we need to find out the equation of this line. So this line can also be written as y is equals to minus x by 2 plus c. Here exactly c is what we are trying to find out. So what we know is that the distance of these two lines would be same. So by using the distance formula between two straight lines or two parallel lines, we can find out the distance, which is d is equal to modulus c2 minus c1 upon root under 1 plus m square. And what is c in the first one? Let us take this to be c2 and this one to be c1. So we would get 3 minus 1 to be 2 upon root under, our m is minus half, so 1 plus 1 by 4, which makes it 3 by 4. So this is modulus 2 by root 3 into 2, 4 by root 3. So this is our distance. Now this distance would be equal to this one as well. So we can say that 4 by root 3 is equal to c minus 3 mod upon root under, again the same thing, root 3 by, this is 3 by 4. And since this was also at modulus, and modulus, we can remove from the equation, and root 3 would get cancelled out with root 3. 4 would get cancelled out with this by 2 times. So 2 is equal to c minus 3, and we get c to be equal to 5. Now this is not our answer. The equation of directrix that we've gotten is y is equals to minus x by 2 plus 5. Now, however, in the question, the equation was given as x plus 2y is equals to c. So let's convert that equation in this format. So we would get 2y plus x equal to 10. So the value of c that we are getting is 10. This is our answer. Again, an easy question. The only thing was you being able to visualize the entire diagram and then solving it. So let's look at another question. Another very easy question based on straight line concept and a parametric equation concept of parabola. This was asked in JEE Mains 2015. Let O be the vertex and Q be any point on the parabola. X square is equals to 8y. If the point P divides the line segment OQ internally in the ratio 1:3, then locus of P is. I hope you all remember the internal ratio division and external ratio division formula that we had studied in straight line. That is the concept that we have to use here. So let us first draw the diagram. So this is our parabola, upward parabola, since x square is equal to 8y, and our focus would be somewhere here, which would be 0, 2. Since we know 8, this 8 is equal to 4a, and a would turn out to be 2. Now it has said that O is the origin, vertex, and Q is any point on the parabola. So since there is just one point that we are assuming, and it is on parabola, so let us assume that this is in the parametric form. So this would be 280, at square. Now again, you have to remember that this is an upward parabola, vertical parabola, so you do not mix up with the parameters. So this can be written as Q. Let's put the value of a as 2, so we would get 4t, 2t square. And let us join this. and there is a point P here, which divides this in the ratio 1:3. So let us assume that P has coordinates h comma k. So once we find out an equation which is based on h and k, later on we can replace h and k as x and y, and then that would be the locus of P. So now it is nothing but the straight line concept formula. So there is one point O here, which is 0 comma 0. There's another point Q here, which is 4t comma 2t square, and there's another point P here, which is h comma k, and it is dividing this in the ratio 1:3. So now let us find out by one what would be the value of h and k. So h would be equal to 3 times 0 plus 1 times 4t whole divided by 4, and k would be equal to 1 times 2t square plus 3 times 0 again upon 4. So k would be equal to t square by 2, and h would be equal to t. So instead of t we can write down, that means h is equal to t. That means we can replace h, so we can replace t by h. So we can get k is equal to t square by 2. So this can be written as h square by 2. That means 2k is equal to h square. So now if I was to convert this in 2k is equal to h square. Now if I was to convert this in the locus format, this would become 2y is equals to x square. And this is our answer, the locus of point P that we had to find out. Very easy question. There wasn't much concepts involved. The only thing was you had to understand that the Q that you had to assume had to be in parameter form. Now let's look at this question. This was asked in JEE Mains 2023. Now this question is a good question, I would say, because this includes the concept of a triangle, which the centroid has been given, as you can see in the question, parabola, as well as intersection of a line. And you will see that there has been concepts of quadratic equation as well involved in this question. So this was overall a good question that was asked by JEE Mains. So let's try to solve this. Let R be the focus of the parabola y square is equal to 20x, and the line y is equal to mx plus c. Intersect the parabola at 2 points. So let us draw the diagram. This is our standard parabola, where the vertex is at 0, 0, and our focus, which is R, as mentioned in the question, this is 5, 0. Since 20 has been given here, this 20 can be written as 4a, and a would be equal to 5. And there are 2 points PQ. So let us assume this is our line. This is y is equals to mx plus c, and this intersects it at 2 points P x1, y1, and Q x2, y2. Now it has said in the question that PQR is a triangle, and now the centroid of this triangle, which is G, the coordinates for it has also been given 10, 10. So if you remember, in straight line we had studied this concept of centroid, that 10 would be equal to the sum of all the coordinates of the vertexes of the triangle divided by the number of them. So this would be x1 plus x2 plus x3 by 3, and we can say 10 is equal to y1 plus y2 plus y3 upon 3. So x3 is known to us, which is 5, so this would become x1 plus x2 is equal to 25, and here y3 is also known to us, which is 0, so y1 plus y2 would become 30. Now what else has been given to us? The line has been given. So now let us put the equation of this line in the parabola to make it into a quadratic of x of second degree, and then from there we will get two values of x, and those two values of x can be used along with this equation to find out the values of x. So let us see what happens when I put y is equals to mx plus c in our parabola. We would get these two intersecting points. So mx plus c whole square would be equal to 20x. So this would become m square x square plus c square plus 2mcx is equals to 20x. Making this into the format of quadratic, standard quadratic, which is ax square plus bx plus c, we get x square m square plus x 2mc minus 20 plus c square is equals to 0. Now from here we know that this is the quadratic equation that we've received on x. So what are the values of this roots of this quadratic going to be? They're going to be x1 and x2. See, we know the value of x1 plus x2, which is 25. So from here also we can find out x1 plus x2 to be minus b by a. If you remember this concept that we had studied in quadratic equation, the sum of roots is minus b by a. So this, what is b here? 2mc minus 20. So this would become 20 minus 2mc upon a, which is m square. So if I was to write down this in a very simplified format, this would become 20 by m square minus 2c by m. Now let us equate this, and we know this value is equal to 25 from here. So now let us try to solve this equation along with this equation. C minus m is equal to 6, so that we can get the values of c and m separately. And once we've gotten c and m separately, we can put them in this equation to get down the values of x1 and x2. And once we've gotten x1 and x2, we would simply replace them in the equation of our line, and we can get y1 and y2 as well. Then we can find out the distance pq. So let us solve this equation, which is, so I can write this equation in this format: 20 minus 2mc is equal to 25 m square. Yes, and c minus m has been given to us to be 6. So c can be written as m plus 6. So let us replace this value as well here. So we would get 20 minus 2m square minus 12m is equal to 25m square. So this would turn out to be 27m square plus 12m minus 20 is equals to 0. So we've gotten a quadratic on m as well. So from here also you would get m two values. One would be negative and one would be positive. Of course, you would eliminate the negative one. You will take the positive one, and upon calculating this, m is equal to minus b in this format, plus root under b square, which is 144, minus 4ac upon 2a. You would get m to be 2 by 3. Upon doing the complete calculation, factorizing it even further, you would get m is equal to 2 by 3. And once you replace m in that equation, c is equals to m plus 6, you would get c is equals to 20 by 3. Now let us replace these values in this x equation that we've gotten, so that we can find out the values of x1 and x2. So it is x square into m square, which makes it 4 by 9, plus x into 2mc minus 20. So what would 2mc minus 20 be? 2mc minus 20. This is just the rough that I'm doing. So this would become 2 into 2 by 3 into 20 by 3 minus 20. So this would be 2 2s are 4, 4 2s are 8, 80 by 9 minus 20. So this would become minus 100 by 9. And then we have plus c square plus 400 by 9 is equals to 0. Now if I was to remove 9 from each and every term, we would get ultimately 4. And I was to take 4 also common. I can take 4 as well common in this entire equation. I would get x square minus 25x plus 100 is equal to 0. And by the look of this equation, I can say that there would be two factors of x, where x1 would be equal to 5 and x2 would be equal to 20. You can see x minus 5 into x minus 20 would give us this equation. So we've gotten x1 and x2. Now corresponding to x1 and x2, since we know that both these numbers lie in the equation of this line as well, and we know m and x, so we can calculate y is equals to mx plus c, which is 3y is equals to 2x plus 20. Now by putting x1 and x2 here, we would get y1 to be 10, y2 to be 20. So ultimately we've gotten our points. P x1 comma y1, that was 5, sorry for that, that is 5 comma 10, and Q, which is x2 comma y2, that is 20 comma 20. Now let us find the distance PQ whole square. So the root will be removed from the distance formula. This would give us 20 minus 5, which is 15 whole square, plus 10 whole square, and this is equal to 325. This is our answer. Now this was a fairly good question, required concepts of a lot of chapters, and was lengthy at the same time. The calculations was also very adverse, required time to calculate. So a fairly good question. If you were able to do this question without any help, then I think your concepts of quadratic, triangles, and parabola are fairly clear. Let's move on to the next question. This was asked in JEE Mains 2019. Let P 4 comma minus 4 and Q 9 comma 6 be 2 points on the parabola y square is equals to 4x. And let x be any point on the arc POQ of this parabola where O is the vertex, such that area of PXQ is maximum. So again, this question is a very easy question. It has asked nothing very difficult to us. The only thing is that there is a triangle that has been inscribed in this parabola. So there are two ways to find the area of this triangle that has been inscribed. I hope you all remember I had taught you a note while teaching the theory of parabola that the formula for area is 1 by 8a into modulus of y2 minus y1 into y1 minus y2 into y3 minus y1 modulus. Or you can use the simple area formula where we have to calculate the determinant where area is 1 by 2 and determinants of 3 points. So you can do it in that way or by using the shortcut trick. Of course, the shortcut trick would make it easier for you to solve. So let us draw the diagram of the parabola first. This is our parabola. Here is our focus, which is 1 comma 0. Since 4 has been given here, 4 transforms to 4a. There is a point on the parabola which is P 4 comma minus 4, sorry. So P is a point which is somewhere here. P is a point somewhere here. 4 comma minus 4, and Q is somewhere here. 9 comma 6. So of course now a triangle is formed with, let's say, x is here. They said that x is any point on the arc. So we can assume x to be the parametric equation, which is, so x can be assumed, which is x1 comma y1 can be assumed as x 80 square comma 280, where a is 1, so x would become t square comma 2t, t square comma 2t. Now this is a triangle that has been formed, P, X and Q. Now we have to find out the area of this triangle. Again, a very simple question, has nothing much that has been asked to us in this question. So we have to find out the area such that it is maximum. That means we will be needed to differentiate as well. This thing we had studied in derivability, where if an equation or a function has been formed with one variable and we need to find out the maximum or minimum value, we need to find out the derivation and then equate it to 0 and then find out the value of that variable. So same thing we will be doing here. So area would be equal to 1 by 8a. I'll use the shortcut trick formula, which is y2 minus y1, y2 minus y3, y3 minus y1. If you do not want to use this formula, the other formula that we had studied in straight line, you can use that, which is 1 by 2 determinant of t squared 2t 1 9 6 1 4 minus 4 1. This is a more direct way to get the answer. A is 1, so 1 by 8 modulus of y2 minus y1. 6 plus 4 would give us 10 into 2t plus 4, sorry, this y2 minus y1. Let us consider q is our y2 and p is our y1. So this would become 10. y2 minus y3, this makes it 6 minus 2t, and y3 minus y1 makes it 2t plus 4 modulus. So this turns out to be 2 4s are 8, 2 5s are 2 taken common from here, would cancel this by 2, so we would get 5 times of 3 minus t into t plus 2. So this would turn out to be 15 minus 5t into t plus 2, which comes out to be 15t plus 30 minus 5t square minus 10t. To simplify this more, we get minus 5t square plus 5t plus 30. Now since you remember this was under modulus, so let us take modulus and multiply this equation by minus so that we can get the coefficient of t square to be positive. It is not necessary for you to do it. This would just help us make the calculations easier. So our area, or we can do this without even multiplying minus 1. So let's do it without multiplying. So we would get minus 5t square plus 5t, plus 30. So this is our area. Now we need to maximize this area. So we differentiate this in terms of t. We would get minus 10t plus 5 is equals to 0. So from here we get t to be 1 by 2. Now let us replace the value of t in this equation. We would get our maximum area, so which would be minus 5 into 1 by 4 plus 5 by 2 plus 30. So this is minus 5 by 4 plus 5 by 2 plus 30. Taking the LCM, we get 4 minus 5 plus 10 plus 3 4s are 12. And from here we get 125 by 4 as our answer. So what was asked to us in the question? The maximum area. So this is our maximum area. I hope you all must have understood that this is a quadratic equation, and the graph of this quadratic, since a here is negative, so the quadratic would be in this manner. And if quadratic is in this manner, that means the maximum value would be somewhere here. So that maximum value would be at t is equal to half. That we found out, which is 125 by 4. So I would say this question was easy. However, you had to know this concept of derivability, where you have to differentiate an equation to find out the maximum value of any variable. Let's look at this question. This was asked in JEE Mains 2024. Now this is a very good question, requires a lot of calculation and concepts of calculation as well. So let's look at it. Let the length of the focal chord PQ of the parabola y square is equal to 12x be 15 units. So the distance has been given to us, which is 15 units. That is the length of focal chord. If the distance of PQ from the origin is P, then 10p square is equal to. So from here, let us first draw the diagram. Again, it is a very standard parabola. Here 12 has been given, that means this is 4a, so a becomes 3. Our focus is somewhere here, which is 3, 0. Now let us assume the focal chord is somewhat like this, and from the origin, which is 0, 0, a perpendicular is dropped, and here the distance from origin to this point is P, as it has been given in the question. So this point is P and this point is Q. So length of focal chord, which is PQ, has been given to us to be 15 units. So let us assume P of chords. P is, let's say, x1, y1 and Q is x2, y2. So instead of using again 4 variables, let's just reduce it to 2 variables. This would make it P at square, and a is 3, so 3t square, 6t. Let's name this as t1, and for Q this would become the same thing, which would be 3t2 square, 6t2. Now, in the question it has been given that this is a focal chord, and if you remember we had studied a condition for focal chord. If there are 2 points, then t1 into t2 is equal to -1 for a focal chord. That means t1 into t2 is equal to -1. So let's just reduce this to one variable. T1 is equal to -1 by t2, and let's name this as t. So we have point P, which is 3t square comma 6t, and point Q, what would that become? -3 by t square comma -6 by t. This is our Q. And now we know PQ, the distance of PQ is 15 units. So let us use the distance formula in this equation. So we would get root under x1 minus x2. So 3t square plus 3 by t square whole square plus y1 minus y2, 6t plus 6 by t whole square. This is equal to 15. Let's square both the sides. So we get 3t square plus 3 by t square by t whole square plus 6t plus 6 by t whole square is equals to 225. I'm sorry, here there wouldn't be any minus since t is -1 by 2, so that would get multiplied twice and it would become plus, so this would be minus. And now let's take 3 common from this equation and let's take 6 common from this equation, so that the equation inside the squares is only of t. So 3, if we take out common and it is squared, so it would become 9 t square minus 1 by t square plus 6 t plus 1 by t whole square. This would become 36. Sorry. Now if you can see, t square minus 1 by t square, this can be written as t plus 1 by t into t minus 1 by t. And if I write it in that way, that means I can take t plus 1 by t whole square common. This is equal to 225. So let's do that first. I'll take this to the next page. So this would become 9 times of t plus 1 by t whole square into t minus 1 by t whole square. And then we have plus 36 t plus 1 by t whole square is equals to 225. So let's take 9 t plus 1 by t whole square common. So we would get t minus 1 by t whole square plus 4. Now this value here, if we try to open it up, what would we get? We would get t square plus 1 by t whole square minus 2 plus 4. That is what we would get. Now I'm trying to open this bracket here. So this would transform to t square plus 1 by t square plus 2. Now this is nothing but t plus 1 by t whole square. So now this thing can be written as t plus 1 by t whole square. So ultimately this makes it 9 into t plus 1 by t whole to the power 4, because square was here and we got a square from here, is equal to 225. So t plus 1 by t would ultimately turn out to be 9 divided by 225 gives us 25. 25 to the 4th root would give us root 5. So we've gotten one value, which is t plus 1 by t, to be 5. Now let's look at other information that has been given. Since we know that this is the line and it passes through the focus 3, 0, so we can write down the equation of this line, and of course equation would be necessary for us to find out the distance of origin from this line by using the point line distance formula. So here let us write down the equation of this line, which would equation of PQ. This would equate finally to y minus 0 would be equal to, now let's write down the slope. Slope would be again 6t minus 0 upon 3t square minus 3. This would ultimately make it nothing but 2 by t minus 1 by t into x minus 3. Yes, I've taken x1 and x2 to be 3 comma 0. Yes, so this is exactly what we get. Now we need to find out t minus 1 by t. Since we know that t plus 1 by t is root 5, so now if I try to square this equation, we would get t square plus 1 by t square plus 2, which is equal to 5. And t square plus 1 by t square can be written as t minus 1 by t whole square plus 2. And then there's plus 2 which was remaining, which can be written as 5. So t minus 1 by t ultimately transforms to 5 minus 4 to the root, so this becomes 1. So basically this is the modulus here. So if we write down now the equation, this would be y is equals to 2x minus 6. So we've gotten the equation of the line. Now let us find out the distance of origin from this line. Using the distance formula, this would be 2x minus y minus 6 upon root under 4 plus 1. So this, since we are doing it at the origin, so 2x and y would get cancelled, minus 6 would become positive since there is modulus upon root 5. 6 by root 5 is our distance, p. And that was given in the question. The origin to the line, the distance is p. And now what has been asked to us in the question? P we've found out to be 6 by root 5. And the question asks us to find out 10p square. So this would become 36 by 5 into 10. 5 2s are, which makes it 72. This is our answer. Now this was a very easy question, although I would say that the calculation, this entire thing of t minus 1 by t and t plus 1 by t whole square and then to the power 4, this made this question a bit difficult. However, overall the concepts that were used were very easy. So that was all for this chapter. We've completed parabola, which was a part of conic section. Now we will be looking into ellipse and hyperbola in the later lectures. Thank you.